Stay live. We are live with Brett Kline. Stay live, Facebook.
Okay.
All right, we're not freezing, so this is good. Facebook loves me again. Thank goodness.
We're back.
I love Facebook. Facebook should be nice to me. All right, so I am. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay. We're gonna chat. No,
Okay.
This is you know me.
Yep.
This is easy stuff, easy peasy.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Hi, this is Mich Hancock, and you are listening to Mishmash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Brett Kline. He is a Chief Marketing Officer, Executive Marketing Advisor, entrepreneur, investor, and currently you are heading up Medici Marketplace.
That's a lot.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You're all over the
When you hear
marketing
somebody
world.
else say it.
Yay. Thank you, Brett, for being here today. You're also a good buddy
Glad
of
to be here.
mine, one of my Medici friends.
Yes.
Which we all love each other. So, so talk about Medici Marketplace, because this is super exciting.
Sure. The marketplace really is it was an idea that came a couple months ago. I was talking with Brian Lunt and Josh Levy, who are the co-founders of Medici Media Space. The marketplace is really can we start over?
Yeah, we can definitely start over.
And I was gonna say,
Do you want to do after the intro?
And we're live.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, well, they say, are you kidding? Do you know how many times I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I would do that again.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. So just after your intro, you think?
Yeah, we can just start up again. So wait, do you want me to start with something different?
No, that's good.
All right, so I'm going to start with asking about Medici Marketplace.
Sounds good. Whenever you're ready.
All right, so Brett, I know that you are heading up Medici Marketplace. Can you
Yes.
tell us about that?
I sure can. I joined Medici Media Space in March after I made the decision to break out and start my own consulting practice. And at that time, the Media Space the number of members was somewhere around 50. In August, the Media Space passed a important threshold of 100 members.
Yeah.
And in talking with Brian and Josh, and we were looking back at the list of members, we realized that almost 30% of the member base fall in some shape or form marketing and media.
It's so true, though. We have a ton of marketing people, and we really most of us don't even cross each other. That's how crazy and big marketing is.
Yep. So the big idea was, how do we bring this collection of companies together, these experts that fall in their own respective disciplines, bring them together to develop a cooperative marketing and media services company called the Marketplace.
Right.
And so we are fast and furiously building a website, creating a platform for the 30 or so odd companies to market and merchandise themselves in a very unique way, as well as the marketplace being able to go into the market and identify opportunities and bring those opportunities back into the marketplace.
And I'm going to pat us on the back because we are really an innovative group of people.
Yep.
I mean, that's like that is the fun thing about Medici. It's like the trailblazer people. Because a lot of us joined not really understanding what Medici was going to become,
Yep.
but we joined because we could feel the energy of the place. We were like, something's here. I'm joining. And then it just ended up being like more and more people were showing up, and we're like, we have this awesome group of human beings who are very passionate about what they do, and we realized that our skill sets could kind of hold hands,
Right.
and be a bigger solution
Right.
for those companies out there.
Collaboration is a major theme at Medici.
Yep.
There's really three, I was describing this yesterday, there's really three continuums that I kind of keep going back to. And we had an exercise with Brian and Josh yesterday. We took them through a strategy session, which was kind of unique.
Really? That's turning
the tables
right?
on them.
Oh, well, tell us.
And got to learn really some important things about what their core tenets are. But it comes down to three continuums in my mind: relational versus transactional.
Mm-hmm.
There's exponential growth versus marginal growth. And then there is, what was the third one?
We can come back to it if you don't
We can come
remember.
back to it.
It'll show up.
Yeah.
It might show up on your drive home, which then I'll just tell.
I'll
about it in
be
another
on,
podcast.
exactly. I'll be driving home and it'll come to me. It'll come to me in about probably a couple minutes.
But
I'll
how
come
did
back
you
to it.
come to Medici? Because, okay, you are a well-traveled human being. You have been to many places.
I have.
So, I mean, you have to tell me about all the places you've lived. I know China is one,
Yep.
right? What did you do in China?
In China, I was working for Las Vegas Sands. Their publicly traded subsidiary, Sands China,
Okay.
based in Macau, which is on the southern tip of China.
All right.
And I was responsible for all of relationship marketing at the Sands China level. So I had 5 properties that I was responsible for.
Oh,
And when I say
wow.
properties, these are mega integrated resorts. If you have been to Las Vegas and you see the big resorts in Las Vegas, Macau resorts are about 2 to 3 times the size of what you would find in Las
Really?
Vegas.
Oh my gosh! But in Vegas, they're like humongous.
They're big. Yep.
I mean, it's what always. Okay, so the times I've been to Vegas, what I always think is so funny is that you're like, oh, there's blah blah blah, and then you're like walking, and you're walking,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I've been walking 5 miles, and I'm still not there.
Yeah.
That place is huge. So I can't even imagine it's even bigger.
The Venetian in Macau is approximately, I want to say 10 million square feet. And the Pentagon is 7 million square feet. The Pentagon used to be the largest building in the world.
Really?
And the Venetian alone, just in Macau, is about 10 million square feet.
Gosh, so wait a minute. Is Macau like the China Las Vegas?
It is the Las Vegas of Asia.
Okay, gotcha.
But
And-
they're big. The feeder market, which is mainland China, represents about 1.3 billion people.
Right,
So
gotcha.
it's a big feeder market.
So relationship marketing, I love that. That was your title?
It was Senior Vice President of Relationship Marketing.
Really?
Yep.
I love that title. I think relationship marketing is so important.
In the casino and hospitality space, and a lot of other industries, obviously customer engagement is extremely important.
Right.
Customer loyalty, the mechanism and how you do that. So I was responsible for the loyalty program that
All right.
spanned across the 5 properties in Macau, called Sands Rewards. All of the data and analytics that go behind it, decision science and segmentation, the
Ooh, I like the
all-
sound of decision science.
decision science,
What's
the science
this?
of marketing.
Well, decision science.
Yeah.
So is that this person more than likely is going to want this?
Decision science. Decision science is really it's a discipline, and I put it in 2 different buckets. One would be a closed loop discipline, which says you develop a hypothesis. What are you aiming to learn? Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen? And then you determine what the intervention should be. So is it an offer? What's the
Right.
incentive? You don't just send it out to everybody. You first test it. And so you typically put a random sample together of about 10% of your audience. And then you just, you send the offer or the incentive to just that 10%
Gotcha.
to see how they behave. Then what did you learn? Based on that learning, what's your next set of activities? And so they call it closed loop discipline.
Gotcha.
And then the other way to describe it is more just continuous learning mindset. And so you always want to continuously learn. The way you do that is by going through this closed loop process.
And I guess when you have 10 million square feet and that many people that are filling it up,
Yep.
you can 10% of your group. It's easy to get them engaged and then figure out what the rest of the group is going to go for, right? And
Exactly.
be interested in.
Exactly.
So it was mainly with your relationship had to do with the people that were showing up the most, the consumers that were showing up the most.
Exactly. A lot of our focus was on the customers that we knew. Obviously, we wanted to acquire more customers and grow the database.
Mm-hmm.
In China, it's a little different because you can't market a casino loyalty program back into mainland China. So we had to capture as much while they were in market as we possibly could.
Oh,
And the fidelity of the
gotcha.
data, particularly in Asia, is not as good as the fidelity of the data that you have here in the United States and other parts of the world.
Okay.
And all my time with the companies that I worked for prior to Las Vegas Sands, we had very rich data to work with.
How interesting. So I have this other question that keeps coming up to me with all of this. So, they're in China, all
Yes.
right? Okay, and you like what was how was the mindset different than here when it came? I mean, is there a different mindset when it comes to gambling?
Gambling in Asia, that is a deep-rooted cultural phenomenon. It's wildly accepted. It's basically normal course of life.
Really?
And it's gone back many generations. So the idea of gaming, gambling, wagering is a culturally accepted practice.
It's just part of what we do. Oh, cool. All right. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Brett Kline. That's interesting.
What was the third one?
All right. Yeah, you want some time to think?
I have it on. So it was abundance, exponential growth. Oh, abundance and scarcity.
Oh my
How
gosh,
can I
it's
not
like
remember
a huge
that?
thing of Medici. Why didn't I think
That
of
was
it?
the first one. That should have been
It's like what we're okay. So we're gonna
should have been the first
We're
one.
going right back there. We're
great.
gonna go right back there with the third. What did you
We're
call
still
it?
on live.
What was your
Abundance,
three-
scarcity,
but the-
exponential growth,
What did you call it?
marginal,
The three tenets? Is that what you called it?
continuums.
Continuums. Continuums. We shall continuum soon. Let me know, Rich. Okay, and we are back with Brett Kline, and we remembered during the break.
We did.
The third continuum.
Yeah.
Do say.
Okay, the three continuums: abundance, scarcity, relational, transactional,
Yep.
exponential growth, marginal growth.
All right, we got them. And abundance scarcity is a big thing at Medici,
Big
which
thing.
is so funny that we
Absolutely.
both we're like, huh, what? Because we've talked about how the scarcity mindset, it's not going to serve you if you want to be successful. You have to have that abundance mindset. But
Absolutely.
it's hard. I mean, I think that's hard for some people, right? Because if you haven't grown up with abundance, and now all of a sudden you've got to become this abundant mindset. I mean, that can be a block for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, I believe that. I'm only 8 months into my entrepreneurial world, if you will.
Right.
And I think entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in general inherently, it's kind of want to protect their territory. And so it's hard to get out of that mindset and think more abundantly. How do I collaborate with more people? How do I partner with more people? Strategically developing alliances and relationships.
Right.
Sometimes that's not the first thought of somebody trying to chart their own course and figure out a way to continue to pay the bills and put food on the table.
Right. Well, and I think, and I get watching your competition, but I will be honest with you, I really don't.
It's co-competition. If you
Yeah.
can find a way to still compete, but if you're able to collaborate together, it's that exponential growth mindset.
Exactly.
The 1 + 1 = 10 theory.
And I think, and what's so interesting to me is that, because I've got so many people that I've partnered with over the years that I just love and trust and adore. And there may be some crossover with what we do, but in general, it's like we really like working with each other.
Yep.
So it's so much fun,
It is fun.
But I will tell you, I have this whole thing about competition in that if you watch them too much, I think it makes you feel bad about yourself because you start thinking, well, maybe I should be doing that. Well,
Yep.
whereas, and I think the other thing is that it takes away from your originality because you don't want to muddy your waters. You want to, I like being an original thinker. So I think it's really good to just let yourself try the stuff you want to try. Even if it's, in my world, it usually is wacky. What I want to try.
You said it, not me.
Let's just see what happens. But the thing is that most of the time when I try something really wacky, I end up going, oh, I get how I can do this now. I get how this could be a thing, which is fun. Because I think entrepreneurs really, we want to have fun. We want to play around with our ideas, right?
We are non-conformist.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's for sure. So what made you decide, I'm done with working for other people. I'm doing this on my own.
I had a belief and a confidence that I could do it. My ambitions, I want to work with lots of different companies and work with lots of different people. In the last 20 years, I've worked for 2 companies.
Really?
Worked for 2 companies. I want to partner and work with lots of different companies.
Gotcha.
And help them grow their businesses. And so that was my motivation. I felt 20 years of experience and the knowledge that I've accumulated across all of those positions that I've had with the 2 companies, and the number of places that I have lived, all the experiences that I have, all the relationships that I've been able to forge over the last 20 years. You know, you kind of wait for the planets to align, but at some point you just got to put a stake in the ground and go.
Yeah.
And so
Say,
I did.
I'm doing this. So how did you find your way to Medici?
Good question.
Thank you.
I met a gentleman by the name of Tom Hill.
Okay.
And somebody that I actually have he's as a professional coach.
Right.
So I'm a paying client of his. He has his monthly mastermind meetings at Medici.
Right.
So way back in March, he invited me to his mastermind meeting at Medici. That was right at the time that I constituted my fractional chief marketing officer consulting practice.
Uh-huh.
And I guess I was just going through these challenges of how am I going to scale me?
Right.
Because I'm just one person.
Right.
If I start to work with companies and partner with company leaders that need marketing services delivered, how do I do that? So by happenstance, I went to the mastermind meeting at Medici. I met Brian Lunt. He gave me a tour of the campus and started to talk about the DNA of Medici and then the ecosystem of companies that were a part of the collaboration that is Medici. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I shouldn't say ton of bricks. It was like an epiphany.
That would hurt.
It was an epiphany. So I said, This is how I do it.
Right.
I can be the fractional CMO. I can be the strategic partner for a company on the marketing side, and then I can partner with a number of Medici media space members to actually get the work done.
Yeah.
And fulfill the
because we
work.
were all there.
Yep.
It's so cool. I love it. I
So
love
in
that
essence,
so much.
the marketplace has been in existence since March.
Okay. But just now really
But
coming
now
into...
we're actually in
we're
order
like,
of magnitude much
We're going
bigger.
to make a website. Doing the
We're
stuff
making
you're
it
supposed to do.
That's right.
I love it. That is... Okay, I did not know how you came to Medici, so thanks for sharing that. All right. And so now, China, where else have you lived?
Oh boy. Where should I start?
Just throw some places out there.
Childhood, or should I?
Sure.
Because it's been like 40
Really?
moves in my life.
No.
Yeah.
That's hard when you're a kid.
My dad was an Army officer, grew up in a military family.
Okay.
So we moved on
Gotcha.
average about every 3 years. Lived in Germany for 3 years, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Went to University of Edinburgh Management School for my MBA.
Right.
So I lived in Edinburgh, Scotland for 2 years. And then recently China, but I can go through all of them. Monterey, California, Colorado Springs, El Paso, Texas, Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, Shreveport, Louisiana, Kansas, Topeka, Kansas,
Oh my
East
God,
Chicago,
like, you've been...
and keep going.
But that's hard. Isn't that hard for
I
a
just
kid?
didn't know any different. It was.
But you grew up okay with all this. So you're like, yeah, I'm good.
I was fine. You know, you develop this ability to assimilate and adjust to your surroundings, and so maybe that's.
But are you setting down roots now? It feels like you're setting down roots.
We made the decision when we moved back. When we're moving back from China, that we made the decision to come to St. Louis. My wife and I have moved 8 times in 17 years since we've been married.
Yeah.
She is from a small town west of here, near Washington, Marthasville, Missouri.
Okay.
Her mother and father live in Marthasville. She has a sister, her husband, 5 children live here in St. Louis. So when I decided to leave Las Vegas Sands, the intention was they wanted me to transition back to Las Vegas, and I said that I didn't want to do that. So I left the company altogether, and we could have moved anywhere.
Right.
But we moved to St. Louis, and it wasn't for professional reasons. I didn't get a promotion. I didn't get a transfer. I didn't start a job here.
Right.
I came here for personal reasons. We wanted to plant some roots, have some stability for our kids so they can go through one school
Right. I think that's
system
important.
in one place, and for my wife to have an opportunity to be close to her side of the family, which she hasn't had the opportunity since at least we've been married.
Wow. So St. Louis, I mean, you're here at a good time. There's a lot going on in St. Louis right now.
There is.
We're like a cool town.
Yes. I wish I am learning a lot about St. Louis. I'm obviously not from here, and more broadly, not from the Midwest.
Right.
And so it's just different. You know, I'm used to moving around every 2 to 3 years, and that's the mindset that I've been in. The idea of moving to St. Louis and being here for a long period of time and learning a whole new city at the same time it's just a very different experience for me.
Well, it'll be fun.
At the same time, deciding to now be an entrepreneur and partner and collaborate with lots of other cool people.
Let's just make a whole bunch of changes all at once.
Yeah.
Why not?
Just blow everything up.
That'll keep you awake.
Yep.
All right, I'm off to go. Well, that's awesome. Well, welcome to St. Louis, Brett. I'm happy you're here. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Brett Kline.
How are we doing on live? Anybody out there?
Oh, let's see. I had to put my glasses on because I can't see. Oh, hey, John. John Lanius was also one of my podcast guests.
Nice.
He's with Vidzu Media. Hey.
John's on there?
Yeah, John's on there. Rich wants to say hi.
Hey, John.
Ta-da! John Lanius, when I had him on, we talked about Japanese incense the whole time.
Okay.
It was so interesting. He knows everything you could possibly know about Japanese incense. It was fascinating. And it was the first time he said that he ever, I know, I'm talking about you, John. He's going, yeah, all right, Mich, got you. It was the first time that anybody interviewed him about that. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, that's what, when you start, because when he started talking about it, when he was the John and Kane show, right, that's how I met him. Yeah. But I don't even know where I was that he started talking about it. He'd given a presentation at Unidev, and he had talked about this Japanese incense thing, and I was like, that is really interesting. I want him to be on my podcast to talk about it. Yeah. So that's what we talked about. It's fascinating. On Mich podcast. Go back to one of the early ones. He was like one of my first.
I wish I had something that cool to talk about. Japanese incense.
Do you have Chinese incense? You were in China. Is there Chinese incense?
Tea.
Probably. Do you know a lot about tea?
No, but I drank a lot of tea.
All right, we'll go there. We're going to do questions now. Okay. Tell me when you're ready. Okay, we are back with Brett Kline. It's question time. I have questions for you, sir. So, with all this moving around that you did, okay, so tell me about the mindset of this. Okay, what was the craziest thing you did as a kid? All this moving around. Did you ever do anything kind of wacky, crazy? You were a good child?
It was just, it was just a different time. I imagine my mom and dad didn't have the same concerns and fears that my wife and I have today of our kids, and giving them the freedom to, get on their bike and ride around the neighborhood by themselves.
Right, gotcha.
Living in Germany, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, that was in the middle part of the 80s. And we would just go out into the cornfields and play hide and seek, or we would get on our bikes and go down to the middle of the village, and we were just on our own.
Right. Yeah.
And same thing, we moved back to the United States after Germany. Everybody looked after each other, their neighbors looked after each other, and it just seemed like a different place and a different time. So my mom and dad were not helicopter parents by any means.
Right.
We weren't bad kids, but we did do some adventurous things, and we would, we'd like to be outside, we'd like to play sports, and so no really crazy stories, but just normal childhood, happy-go-lucky kid that liked to play sports and liked to be outside and liked to be with his friends.
And you've talked about it. It seems like you really liked Germany.
I have a strong affinity to Germany.
Yeah, it just seems like it. I mean,
I like the food. I like the people. My favorite national team, soccer team, is Germany.
Okay.
One of my favorite club teams is Bayern Munich. I just loved being there. I learned how to ski in Bavaria, Berchtesgaden, and skied in
cool.
Garmisch, and skied in Austria. I just have an affinity for.
I can tell
for the
because when
German
you
culture.
say it, your eyes get all sparkly.
Yeah.
You're like, Germany.
I like Germany.
All right.
Food in particular.
But talk about when you went to business school, okay?
Yep.
And Edinburgh, is that how to say it?
Edinburgh.
What was your favorite fact about that area, that place?
I love Scotland. I
Yeah?
just absolutely love Scotland too. Germany and Scotland. I could live in either one.
Really?
Maybe someday I'll buy a little cottage in the Highlands in Scotland and go and get off the grid. There are a lot of aspects to my graduate school experience that I just absolutely loved. There are 36 different countries that were represented
Ooh,
in my class,
cool.
and only 108 students. So the diversity of the student body was more than I could ever imagine.
How fun.
And it was just an absolutely amazing experience. And you're working in very close strategic groups, having to work out challenges, language barriers, different cultural nuances.
Right.
That you're forced to figure it out. And the city itself, beautiful city. I had a chance to go to Edinburgh many years before that. My friend worked for American Airlines, and he was leaving American Airlines, and he had one buddy pass. And he said, "Where do you want to go? We can go anywhere in the world." And that was at the time that Braveheart was out.
Okay.
And so we went on a pilgrimage to go see William Wallace's sword in Stirling,
Really?
Scotland. And we came up to Waverley Station, the train station in the middle of Edinburgh, walked out, and I looked at the castle up on the hill, and I said, "This is unbelievable. I will be coming back here someday."
Oh my gosh.
And so I ended up coming back for graduate school. The city is just, it's...
that castle's on a volcano, isn't it?
It
Is
sits
there
on
something about that?
It sits, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Not a live volcano.
Not a live volcano.
But go ahead. You were going to say something else.
No, just the kind-hearted, good people. The food, not so good. I ate fish and chips a lot. I never really got
Is that
into
where
eating
haggis.
haggis.
Is from? That's just, no, that just doesn't sound good to me.
But a lot of diversity in terms of the food as well. Lots of international restaurants, and I liked, there was an Ethiopian restaurant that was one of my favorites that I would go in and get this chicken wrap, and I ate a lot of those and a lot of fish and chips.
Well, at least they had some other things to eat there than haggis. So.
Yeah, and just because of the longitude where the city sits, during the winter time, it stays dark like 18 hours of the day. And then during the summertime, it stays light about 18 hours of the day.
Golly,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That would be a weird experience.
And just as you get out of Edinburgh and go north into the Highlands, I mean, it's just breathtaking, the scenery, and it's a great place, beautiful place.
So out of all these different cultures you've experienced over the years, is there any aspect of a culture that you've thought, I wish America had a little bit more of that?
Great question.
Or that you just admired about another culture?
We traveled a lot in Asia. Our goal was not to just go to all the big touristy destinations. We wanted to pick places that were a little bit more raw, a little bit more off the beaten path, which is a bit odd because, when you're traveling with 3 young kids, that's kind of not the mindset. You want to go to a safe place,
Right.
Make sure you don't put yourself at risk.
Right.
But we were thoughtful in terms of where we went and made sure that we had guides and that we didn't wander too far off the beaten path.
Gotcha.
But we made a trip to Cambodia and saw Angkor Wat, and the people there, they don't know what they don't have.
Right.
And I wish sometimes that we would have kind of that similar mindset, which is we're happy with, our immediate family unit. We're happy with having a roof over our head. We're happy with, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Right.
Those critical ones.
Right.
In many places in the world, that's where it stops. And making sure you have food and shelter and that the relationships that you have and you're surrounded with. is really what's important. And I saw a lot of that when we traveled to some of the more unique places in Asia. Vietnam was the same, Cambodia. There's some interesting places in China that are not that well traveled.
Right.
And just fascinating, good-natured, good-hearted people.
I love that.
And I know it's important in life.
It's true, because we get bombarded every day with, and how old are your kids?
14, 11, and 8.
So they get bombarded with stuff, and they want this stuff.
Right.
And they feel like they need it to be happy a lot of times.
Right.
I have to have this thing. And there's always the kid at school that has more than everybody else, and, that kind of thing. But it is true. If we could simplify, and just be happy with the simpler things, because there's so many cultures out there that don't have all this choice and crazy amount of stuff that you can buy and so easily accessible. Just get on the internet, get on Amazon, purchase it with one click, and you've got it, But I love that thought. Thank you. What a nice thought.
I have been very fortunate over the last several years to be compensated very well for the work that I did, for the companies I worked for, and there always seemed to be a natural progression in terms of scope of roles and positions, and then commensurate, the compensation is commensurate with those positions. I've been very, very blessed and very fortunate. I'm not at that level anymore, at least not yet.
You'll get there.
But the way I think about it is back to those three continuums, which is abundance, which is exponential growth, and which is relational. Not the other side, but those three. That if you're doing the right things, if you're focused on relationships, if you're focused on, again, putting your best foot forward and building those relationships and collaborating as much as you can, all that other stuff will take care of itself.
Exactly. Well said, Brett Klein. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
thank
this.
you.
Well, oh my gosh. Well, I've been wanting to have you on. So, Medici Marketplace, we don't have a website, but it's coming.
It is.
But Medici Media Space,
days away.
So days, really?
Days.
Oh gosh. So by the time this podcast, I get this thing out there, we will probably have a website.
Yes.
Correct?
Worry-free marketing is building the website for Medici Marketplace.
We
Matt
love and adore Matt. Yes, he's one of our Medici people.
He is.
One of my business partners. I adore him.
I had a chance to work with Matt on a project for a company that I invested in called Authentically American.
Yes, yeah.
And he just finished their website, and it was launched about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, awesome.
It's a beautiful, beautiful website.
Oh, good. Well, of course it is.
AuthenticallyAmerican.us.
That's right. I mean, you've been. That's one of the companies that you've been working with and investing in, right? So, very cool. Well, awesome. So by the time this podcast is up, we will have a website. So
Matt, did you hear that?
Us. Yeah, Matt, did you hear us? We love Matt. He's truly one of my favorite people. I'm going to a Northwest Chamber is having a trivia night.
Right.
I'll be hanging out with Matt there. Poor Matt. I'm not going to be great at trivia. I will do my best. I hope that they don't want to win. No.
And that's pretty competitive.
I know. Hopefully they know it's because it's all Harry Potter.
Okay.
Are you a Harry Potter fan?
No.
No.
I'm a fan. I'm not a fan.
I'm a fan,
big
but
enough fan
I
to be
don't know
dangerous.
that I know I've seen all the movies, but I don't know if I know everything.
Yeah. No, a fan only in that I've seen the movies, and my kids, at least my oldest, has read the books.
Maybe your oldest needs to come with me.
Maybe.
I could use somebody that really knows Harry Potter. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Everyone out there, thank you for listening. And please go to iTunes, subscribe to Mishmash. We will catch you later. Thanks.
Thank you. That was fun.
That was way fun. And I haven't seen Matt in a while. Actually, Matt, wherever you are, I want to see you again. I'll see him Friday at the trivia thing. I'm watching the movies again, hoping I'm better at it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
It's